Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Cyber Shorty Chronicles. If you're new here, I'm your girl, Cyber Shorty, and over here we really talk about all things cybersecurity related, sprinkled with a little lifestyle in the mix. If you haven't already and you enjoyed the couple of videos that we have, please be sure to subscribe, and of course, as always, meet me in the comments. Now on to the good stuff. Now, today's topic will be, should you drop out of that cybersecurity bootcamp? It's 2024, so is that something that you should be considering? Is that something that should be on your mind? I really want to start off with, if you're already in a boot camp, if you clicked on this video because this is something maybe that's top of mind for you. Are you feeling overwhelmed by your cybersecurity boot camp? Are you thinking about quitting? Let's really talk about it. My answer to the question is not one that you probably would think. So I'm not necessarily going to tell you yes or no, but I will give you some things that I feel like are beneficial, that you should be thinking about and considering if you do feel, like you're doing a boot camp and maybe things aren't going as expected, or maybe you're deciding to go another way. So a cybersecurity bootcamp, what it typically means is that you're learning a ton of material in a short amount of time. So it means that learning could be intense for you. So if you're not someone who's a quick learner, or if you're not someone who's able to, have a photographic memory, are you able to see charts, visualizations, graphs, diagrams, and you're able to instantly remember those? If you're someone who struggles with terminology and acronyms, these may be things that may make that boot camp a bit more challenging for you. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't do it, but just something that you want to keep in mind if you haven't even signed up, or if you are thinking about signing up for a boot camp. Now, with that intense learning, it's also fast paced. So typically it could be anywhere from 8 to 20 weeks, 24. I've seen them really all over the place. The pressure is for you to be able to quickly absorb those topics and that information, and then obviously move on to the next chapter, section, wherever it is that you're trying to go. Now, again, in stating that, boot camps aren't for everyone, and if you're feeling overwhelmed or if you're doubting your decision, that is normal. It's just like if someone's going to school. Everyone isn't going to school feeling joyous about, what they're doing, the content they're learning, whatever degrees, certifications they're going after. So there's no different when, you're in a boot camp. It's still a learning experience. It's still a learning environment. So it's still something that you want to make sure that you're giving yourself grace as you're going through it, or even kind of getting yourself prepared. Take a look at some reviews from that boot camp. What has anyone done who's graduated from that boot camp? Have they been able to land a job? What types of jobs? What type of experiences will you receive as a part of that boot camp? These are all things that you want to make sure that you keep in mind. Now, for some reasons that you may want to consider dropping out of the boot camp, maybe there has been an expectation issue. So maybe that content isn't necessarily aligning to your career choice, your goals, your interests. Maybe you thought you were going to be into it, but now you're kind of getting maybe halfway through the boot camp and you're just feeling like, nah, this isn't for me. I know for sure this isn't something that I'm interested in. Maybe you thought it'd be a lot more interesting, or maybe you thought it'd be a little bit easier for you to be able to get through. Something else that can make you want to consider dropping out, like I said, is that pace that they go at. If you're struggling to keep up with the material, if you have things outside of work that are influencing your lifestyle, family, children, pets, work, a lot of these things and factors will make it a bit more challenging for you. I know in my experience, most boot camps are designed to be essentially like a full-time job, like during those hours, usually typically like first shift is what I see. So they do want you there from like 8 to 5. So you really don't have time, for a job, because when you're not in school, then you're studying the material you just learned that day in order to prep for what you're going to learn tomorrow. So if you think about balancing a full-time job, working 8 hours a day, and going to a boot camp 8 hours a day, I'm not saying it's impossible, and kudos to you if you've done it. Let us know in the comments how that worked out for you. But just setting expectations for those who are considering it, that can be a lot to take on. Not to shy you away from it at all, but just want to make sure that I'm being honest and transparent about what that experience could be like. You also want to think about the financial pressure. Depending on what boot camp you're doing, you may have a financial cost associated with it. Believe it or not, there are boot camps out here that are free of charge as long as you meet their requirements. The ones I've seen have been so more towards low income, or if you're switching career trajectories, things of that sort. So that's something you want to keep in mind as well. What's the cost of that boot camp? Is it something that's going to break your pockets? Some of these boot camps are thousands of dollars, and what are you gaining after you complete besides a little certificate? Is that something that you can actually use? Is it something that you can get a badge for? Are you able to add it to your resume? Is it something that you can share on LinkedIn to where someone who wants to interview you, are they able to go back and click on whatever that boot camp would be giving you, whatever certification is for? Are they able to go click on that and see what competencies and things of that sort that you've been able to learn, engage through that boot camp? Another thing that can make you want to consider dropping out is really a lack of support. And I would mean that from whether it's your instructors, your peers, or even like the program itself. If you're not feeling supported through that program, if you need to have makeup time or office hours and you're not able to receive that from the boot camp, or, just even in your personal life, if no one's really kind of encouraging you or supporting you through something that is challenging for whatever duration that would be, then that can definitely, be a downer as to, another reason on top of the pays and the expectations, the financial pressure that may make you want to drop out. And then lastly, I just have mental health. So the stress of trying to get through, knowing that something good could potentially be on the other side when you finish that boot camp, can be enough to tire you out as well, on top of the pace and the rest of the things. You definitely want to make sure you're taking care of your mental health if you are in the boot camp. Absolutely make sure you're taking some time to step away from the homework, because cramming for most people really doesn't get them too far, and you do want to make sure that you're able to retain that information, because that's the whole point of you being in the boot camp. Fast paced, so you can learn it quick and essentially get on your feet and move into that career field. That's the goal. Does it usually work out like that? It's really hit or miss, and it depends on what certification it is, what organization it's backed by, things of that sort. Now, enough of the negative stuff. Let's talk about some signs that you should stick with the program. So the first thing is you're making progress. So even if things are coming to you slow, or concepts are slow for you to be able to comprehend and understand, any progress is a good sign. So again, if this is a topic, concept, whatever it is, area, and you're not sure or you're not familiar with it, you've never heard of it, maybe this is your first time hearing of it, then don't go in expecting to leave out being a professional. Set some realistic goals with yourself, weekly, 30, 60, 90, however you need to break it down, so that you aren't putting too much pressure on yourself when it comes to retaining that content. Another thing is your passion for the field. So if you still feel excited about cybersecurity, despite, the challenges that you may be facing in a boot camp, it might be worth you, pushing through. Maybe you can make some friends that are in that boot camp. You guys can kind of lean on each other for moral support, but really being passionate about what you're doing will make you have that little bit of extra drive in you that you need to kind of push through to the end. You know how they say all you need is a mustard seed amount of faith. It's the same thing there. Also have support networks. So again, your friends, your family, your teachers, your instructors, the program that you're going through, who is really there for you and supporting you through the time. Do you have any mentors that you can reach out to? Are you actively searching and networking and things of that sort? But those support networks will really be able to cheer you on, champion you. And if you find someone good enough, they may even be able to kind of help bridge the gap when it comes to some of those areas where you may not feel more comfortable with. Maybe someone that's in your network can help break some of that stuff down for you. Then the long-term benefits. So if you think about the long-term payoff, right? Ideally, you pass your certification, you are able to get a job in the field, maybe entry level, you start your way there, you work your way up. So knowing that you will be able to have a long-term payoff of completing that boot camp, receiving those job opportunities, gaining those skills, getting that experiences, and of course, changing your lifestyle, because that's the whole point of doing all of this, right? Those are some signs that you should stick with it. So if you're feeling any of those, then don't be too discouraged. Keep pushing. It's going to be hard. Everything isn't a walk in the park. Anything worth having isn't necessarily going to come to you easy. If it does come to you easy, kudos to you. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people who it doesn't come easy to. Now, I also want to talk about some alternatives to dropping out that you want to keep in mind. Maybe you can reach out to your instructors, advisors, whoever is in charge of the program. Maybe they're able to offer you any flexibility, any additional support, like I said, office hours, any alternative learning resources, or just things that can help supplement that time where you're not in class, but you still have that passion in you to keep learning. And then also maybe consider a different learning path. Maybe you want to stop doing a boot camp. Maybe you want to go to college. Maybe you want to not go to college and you want to do self-paced learning. Maybe you want to do YouTube University, TikTok University. It doesn't matter. LinkedIn University. You have a plethora of resources that are available to you. Maybe you decide, oh, I was going for the Security Plus, hate it, I want to go for Networking Plus. Or maybe you decide, I was going for A Plus, hate it, I want to go for Security Plus. So there are ways that you can just switch that path up. If that's not what you want, then go ahead and get out of it. At least you're finding out things about yourself. Maybe you started out and you're like, I don't know, I'm gonna give this a try, and you find out A plus isn't for you. So that could be something that you experience. So you might want to consider just choosing a different learning path. And then lastly, I would just say take a break. So if the boot camp does offer you, like a break option, maybe you can stop, come back. Typically they don't, because it's a payment thing, or you got to stick with the schedule, you're going to get out the program, or you can only miss so many dates. So that could be something that you face as well, but it never hurts to kind of reach out and ask and see what is available to you, even at the start of the program, because if something does come up and you have made that financial investment, of course you want to be able to make sure that you're able to keep yourself covered, but also that investment that you put your time and your energy into. So those are some alternatives that you can take to dropping out, and nothing's wrong with them. Choose one, pick one, mix them up, however it works best for you. Now I'm going to share my personal experience because I have faced a similar, I won't say challenge, but situation. So when I quit my job, deciding, okay, I need to just focus on cyber, what am I going to do to get there? I had a window from about April to July no, it was actually before then. So when I quit my job, I can't remember exactly when I got the notice, but it was actually shortly after I quit my job. So I was applying for all the cybersecurity stuff. I have no idea what the rec was or what it stated, but I remember filling out something and it was like, do you want to learn? It sounded like certification language, but it wasn't the certification language that we see here in 2024. This was like a couple years ago. But it was basically like, do you want to learn? This is a free program. Well, and I was just like, oh, cool, this sounds good. So I filled it out not knowing exactly what it was. And it was basically a nonprofit organization called Perscolas. And they basically have boot camps where they teach you different CompTIA material. And the one that I actually selected was the Google IT support and the A+. I was getting my master's in cyber at the time. So I know a lot of people are like, well, why didn't you just do cybersecurity? Or the Security Plus, excuse me. I didn't do Security Plus because those dates were like too far out, and I was just trying to hurry up and get in and continue to build on the knowledge that I felt like I had already gained through my program. So I was really just thirsty to get in somewhere and start learning. I didn't want to wait until the fall because that was just too long for me. I was just trying to get a couple certifications under my belt, like ASAP. So I started that program. And I hated it. Like, I tried my hardest to push through, and I actually made it till almost, I think we were like 3 weeks out from when the program was going to be done, or 2 weeks. And I just had enough. I was like, I don't want to learn anything else about A+. This is not cybersecurity focused. I don't want to build computers. I don't care about any of this content here. I want to learn the Security Plus. So that was on me. So I did drop out the program. But I did go ahead and pursue the Security Plus. So like I talked about, maybe you need to to switch paths after you've identified something that you don't like. That's what I did. I didn't do a boot camp to learn the Security Plus. I went ahead and did self-study, set a 90-day goal, got it in those 90 days, and the rest was history. I'm actually coming up this year on needing to renew it. So I will share what that journey was like for me, and kind of what I had to go through, because I didn't do anything you were supposed to do. So I'm going to have to buy the little course and do all that extra stuff instead of just freaking doing the CPE hours. But what it is, I'll talk more about that in another video. But again, I did drop out the boot camp and it still worked out for me. So it can work out for you too. It was free of charge, that program, for me, so I'm not saying it like that. I did learn a lot of information, and that information has been able to stick with me today. I do teach A+ to my students at the school that I teach at, so the knowledge is still there. It's just nothing that I personally wanted to do with me career-wise. I didn't want to build computers and things of that sort. But again, the information from A+ does help me understand some things in cyber a lot better, how computers function, things of that sort. That's my experience. If you have any experience, please feel free to share in the comments. Were you in a boot camp? Did you like it? Did you graduate? Did you drop out? What happened when it ended? Did they provide you with any resources? Did they help you with your resume? What type of content were you learning? What platforms were you using? What type of labs were you doing? Share some of that stuff in the comments if you are in those shoes. But all in all, I just wanted to make this short video that it's okay to consider dropping out, but you want to make sure that you have weighed all of the factors and really explore the alternatives that are available to you. Don't just drop out and do nothing. Drop out and pivot. Drop out and figure something else out. Drop out and learn something else. I'm not necessarily telling you to drop out, but of course, like I said, giving you some options to consider. But pivoting, there's nothing wrong with it. And that is a skill set that you will need to have in the industry when something isn't going right, or maybe you thought this was the way you needed to go. You may need to pivot, to get back on course. So if you find this video helpful, feel free to share it with a classmate, a friend, somebody you know who's going through boot camp, who may need to consider those options. Like I said, consider reasons why you should stay, and also consider reasons why you should go, and whichever list outweighs the other, then maybe that's the way you should go. Like I said, feel free to share some of your experiences in the comments. I'd love to hear what you all have experienced and if you have navigated successfully through a boot camp. But that is all for this video. I just want to make sure that I'm showing my face and I'm being present. I know it's been a while, but I'm back and there will be more content to come. So stay tuned. Peace and love. Your girl Cyber Shorty. She's out.